Hi, welcome back. We're here with Richard Beaumont and Claire Green.
Hello.
This is Finance and Procurement Coffee Break, I think we decided to call
I think we've
ourselves.
still come up with a name yet, but we'll try.
That's a placeholder name.
It is placeholder name.
Yeah. So today we're going to be discussing sustainability and ESG reporting. And just before we get into that, why are we doing these video blogs?
Why?
Why indeed? I think it's because we're both really passionate about transformation of finance and procurement processes and getting outcomes for our clients that meet their needs, aren't we?
We are, and much as finance and procurement don't generally like one another and bicker about savings, I will never get over not having my savings sign up. Actually, I think we both know we're going to be, as functions, working ever more closely in the future.
Certainly.
So look, we'll talk. You get the chance to listen. Please comment, but more importantly, see if it just sparks an idea for you. So, right, what are we doing today?
Yes. So today, Richard, I am interviewing you.
Oh, right.
This time.
Okay, all right. I'll do as I'm told.
Yeah. So I've come up with 5 good questions for you on ESG and sustainability. And I know this is something you're really passionate about because you never stop bending my ear about it.
Right. I do.
So let's go with the first question. So let's start by understanding what we're talking about with sustainability and ESG, and perhaps just how you like to position it.
Right. Yes, I do bend everyone's ear, and actually, the thing I think that's really good about this is that it isn't clearly understood. I mean, if I say to you sustainability, everyone thinks environment. Actually, it's nothing to do with the environment, really. It's about your ability to carry on doing business without running out of resources. But it's become a synonym for environmental. Actually, there's a lot out there. Some of you will have heard of ESG. Environment and social and governance. Some of you will have heard CSR, corporate social responsibility. Some people are talking about DSE, which is diversity, sustainability, and ethical behaviour. The point is, in that mix is, I suppose, a general set of principles, which is coming back to the triple bottom line. You know, how long has this been talked about, a triple bottom line? Very few do it.
Yeah.
And the idea was, we'd have profit, people, planet, triple bottom line. And we'd have a profit one, everyone knows about that. We'd have one that was around the planet, are we doing the right stuff to protect and preserve the environment? And we'd have one about people. The point is, what we're trying to talk about here today is what's coming down the track, or indeed has already arrived, that's going to affect both of us, and what does it mean?
Sure. Totally agree. It's going to impact both procurement and finance to the same degree.
Yep.
Okay, so it's a pretty comprehensive topic, but I'm still not clear why this is so important to finance and procurement. I have a general understanding, but I think it'd be useful for you to explain in more detail. How is this going to impact brand management and operating models?
Right, I almost come back to the level, which is, if we think back to the first webinar, we were talking about vision for the future and how we transform to become better businesses. Actually, what we're talking about here is something which you are going to have to transform to do it, or you're not going to have a business. 2 good examples. Stephen Shergill, lawyer, works at Denton's. He was speaking at a Luxartia conference last year, and he came up with a wonderful phrase, and I'm going to read it. Conscious consumers are having a direct impact on business strategy. If you are not doing things that your customers believe are good for the planet, or you're treating people badly, they will take their business elsewhere. So actually, this isn't just about a compliance set of rules. This is actually about business strategy to keep consumers happy. At the other end of the spectrum, Suresh Mistry, one of the partners at Alquity, who specialise in green investments, he said we've got 2 problems at the moment. One is greenwashing. So anybody out there can write their annual report and say we're doing good things for the planet, but actually how does anybody genuinely know?
Yeah, because it's not audited, right?
Because it's not audited and it's got inconsistent reports. So actually this topic is to one extent being thrust on us by regulation, but you know what? it's so much more than that. This is actually about the vision of what your company's going to be.
Yeah.
That's going to make it attractive to both investors and consumers, which is kind of what we're supposed to do.
Yeah, sure. And you mentioned regulation there. What is it that companies should be aware of in terms of current and future regulation on sustainability? I know we've talked about a little bit about the ISB standards that are coming down the line.
Right. This is where I could get really boring, but I'm going to try not to be. And if you like, the marker for 10 is, on a bad day, Claire can nearly put me to sleep talking about IFRS and the wonders that it has done for financial reporting. Exactly. Right. But do you know what? I'm not going to try and list it all, but there are 3 really big ones at the minute. First one, which actually many companies are oblivious to, German Supply Chain Act, came into force last year, went live 1st of January this year. If you've got a part of your business, 3,000 people operating in Germany, you've got to comply with the German Supply Chain Act. It's there to protect workers. Actually, it incorporates quite a lot of sustainability and environmental questions, and you are obliged to go all the way up your supply chain. So if you're getting raw materials from China, are the way they're behaving compliant with German law? Because you've now got to sign up to say that they are, and that's a tough gig. Second one is, you may have heard of Scope 3, so the Greenhouse Gas Protocol, been around, 15 years now, and we're progressing through Scope 1, Scope 2, which is very much about what you do and your products and your operations. Scope 3 requires you to report on greenhouse gas emissions across your entire value chain.
Wow.
Now, I can tell you, most companies, and I've looked at procurement RFPs that have asked suppliers to give their impact in water consumption, CO. They don't know. We don't know. So how on earth are you going to reliably report on that? And the third one, which is going to bring me all the way back and is going to force me to acknowledge that Claire might have been right. Good old IASB, International Accounting Standards Board, have now spawned an evil twin. The International Sustainability Standards Board. And we've got IFRS, which has been out since 2003, is it? 2001?
Something like that.
Most jurisdictions now produce financial reports to IFRS accounting standards. You can look at one set of report, you can look at someone else's report, and they're basically apples and apples.
Yeah.
It's coming your way for sustainability. So the ISSB, International Sustainability Standards Board, is bringing out IFRS S1 and S2. S1 is climate, I think. S2 is other way around. S1 is sustainability, S2 is climate. What that means is every company that's signed up to ISSB, which is basically everyone that produces financial reports, is going to start producing environmental reports, sustainability reports, which means that this issue of greenwashing should disappear because anybody that produces a set of accounts is going to have to report their environmental impact in the same way, which is amazing. There's a lot more. There's Diversity Act in the US. There is Modern Slavery Act in the UK. The Norwegians are bringing out a whole set of ESG laws that are affecting businesses that operate there. The point is there is a ton of regulation, all of which is going to put, the obligation, but also should be good because it's going to mean that we can genuinely see what businesses are doing.
Yeah, and I think it'd be interesting to see how that plays out for transformation projects for finance and procurement.
Yeah.
Because you think about, a typical ERP implementation, in the future, will some of that end-to-end metrics that we need to measure, hopefully those be embedded in the ERP that we use.
I know, and here we go, because I know what you're going to ask me next. And
so as a final thought, Richard, if we're going to advise a CFO and a CPO where to start, what would you say?
Okay, well, here's the tricky bit. They are about to work really closely together. Why? Some might say I'm slightly cavalier in my approach to procurement. The one thing you're very rarely going to accuse a CFO and a finance team of being cavalier. Because they report standards. They've got good experience of reporting financial reports that are consistent, audited, measured, the lot. My belief, procurement, of course, is going to be in the driving seat for engaging both upstream and downstream on your suppliers and customers to determine their environmental performance and compliance. We're going to have to get used to not just asking about price or quality or availability, but a whole list of questions which aren't in that back paragraph of your RFP. They're front and centre because they're almost as important now as price. But no one's going to trust procurement to report that because we always do brilliantly. It's going to have, if it's going to be presented,
It's going to be by finance.
It's going to be by finance.
It is, isn't it?
And that means that CFOs and CPOs, if I was going to give one piece of advice, is to sit down today, look at what you might be affected by on that list of regulation, and there are others, and please don't take me as an authority on it. Look at what's coming, work out what it might mean the CFO in terms of reporting, and how could you integrate better with procurement to go and gather that data from those supply chains, because it's not going to go away.
No.
It is important, and if you want to have a bet from me, IASB, ISSB, not going to be long before we have the same for that third of the triple bottom line of people. What are we doing with people? And I think, if it's not here in the next 5 years, I might have to eat my hat or drink a lot of coffee, but I reckon it's coming.
Okay, it's been great to talk to you today, Richard.
Pleasure, as always. And look, we'd welcome your feedback. We're going to put this up, see what you think. Please comment. And actually, we might even run a poll about what topics you want us to cover next. We've got a list. Some are exciting, finance, and we'll talk about them. But listen, much rather talk about things that you're interested in. But for now, have a good evening, wherever you are. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.